Hello, investors. This is Todd Thomas, Associate Portfolio Manager and Advisor with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, June 27th. The time is 5:39 p.m. Coming to you from Boca Raton, Florida to bring you the Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. State of the market, 3 green up arrows. Today, the leadership was a little bit off. However, still no major violations today. So we are still green on the leaders. We are still trending well above the 21 EMA as well as the 50-day. And we still currently have the 200-day moving average at neutral with expectations to upgrade this potentially as early as next week. Going through the indexes, basically today what happened, we had an all-time high gap up in the S&P. The S&P 500 broke the 6147 level, which was the high from February 19th on the open. We had a trend day up post lunch, and then an afternoon reversal on some news from President Trump and Canada trade, and then a recovery at the end of the day, closing out at a new all-time high. The leaders were down 0.6% on our 21 over 21 list, with 11 up, 1 unchanged, and 9 down. The biggest loser today was Palantir, which was down about 9%, and this is a result of the Russell rebalancing today, so it got hit pretty hard on the close. Turbo 12 was up 0.13% with 7 up and 5 down. The Big 8 was up 1.12%, led by Google and Amazon today. RG8 down 0.09, S&P 500 up 0.52, RSP up 0.37, Qs were up 0.33, Q equal weights up 0.24. The Dow Jones was up 1%, and this was as a result of Boeing up about 5 or 6%, as well as Nike, the standout, up 16% on earnings. Midcaps up 0.27, closed both yesterday and today above the 200-day moving average. Russell 2000 basically flat, currently trading right on the 200-day moving average. 60/40 up 0.2%. GROTECTION basically flat, up 0.1%, and Turbo down 0.8%. Let's go to the inter-asset correlation. All right, so right off the open, we were able to break through the 6147 highs from this past February. Quite a choppy day. We gapped up, again, above those highs, rallied straight into the afternoon, and then sold off rapidly, went negative, and completely reversed all those gains. As President Trump terminated the trade discussions with Canada due to Canada continuing a 400% tariff on dairy products and digital services tax. He says, we will let Canada know the tariffs that they will be paying to do business in the United States of America. So after a pretty sharp sell-off, we made a low at 61.32 and rallied and closed in the upper end of the day. So very strong close on the week here in the S&P 500. The equal weight broke through this resistance of 180.18, made on May 16th. Qs closing all-time high, both Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with an all-time high intraday of 549.99. So again, choppy day here, but did close in the upper half of the range. Oh, forgot to mention, Qs did make a golden cross here on the 24th. So as of Wednesday on, we are in an official golden cross state. Again, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the results of how successful golden crosses have been on the cues. I covered this on the podcast today, our Friday podcast, and actually it's a very successful indicator. Going out 1 year, never a failure in the last 25 years, so potentially quite bullish. Equal weight also with a golden cross on the 24th. Again, not quite a closing high. We did intraday get above the all-time highs. However, we do have a closing weekly high on the Qs. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 1% again on Boeing. Take a look here. You can see Boeing was up 5.9%. Nike up 15.19% on earnings, closed just above the 200-day moving average. Nike's struggled again for a couple of years, but finally potentially turning around. Mid caps, again, 2 days above the 200-day, so that's a welcome sight. Again, we tend to see growth stocks perform better with the mid caps and the small caps rallying and above the 200-day moving average. Russell 2200 at 2174, so about 2 points shy of the 200-day. We did get above it intraday, which was the first break above the 200-day since we came below it on February 21st. VIX was up slightly on the day at 16.32. Again, we welcome the VIX in this 12 to 15 area. So we're getting in the sweet spot of the VIX. Dollar up today slightly. Overall on the week, the dollar was down 1.45 on the index. Gold broke the 50-day moving average today, down 1.8%. Gold miners closed right on the 50-day moving average, just above. Silver above the 21 EMA, strongest of the metals. Actually, platinum's the strongest, but silver looking good, and copper also had a pretty nice week. And Bitcoin consolidating nicely here at 60.72, down slightly on the day. But again, nice week, up 3.49%. All right, let's go to the tail of the tape. Okay, again, we are currently in an uptrend. The percentage of stocks above the 5-day moving average is at 69, so we're not quite overheated in that area, which is good. This week, the NAIIM, Professional Money Managers exposure, went down from 94% last week to 81%, which was nice to see. Number of bears also ticked up to 40 on the AAII. Our continued bull case is to continue to trade above the 21-day moving average. Bear case would be a break below the 21-day moving average. News today, U.S. and China agreeing formally to implement a trade framework that would increase rare earth exports from China and relax restrictions on China exports or technology exports to China. Also, midday, President Trump terminated the trade deal with Canada. Again, that sent us down on the day. Also today, we had the Fed's coveted PCE come out in line on the headline number, but the core number was 1/10 higher than expectations, suggesting a pickup in inflation slightly. Also, we had another number, and the Atlanta Fed lowered their Q2 GDP forecast to a positive 2.9% from a prior number of 3.4%. So overall, this suggests a stagflationary environment and puts the Fed potentially in between a rock and a hard place here. However, we are still expected to get up to 2 rate cuts this year and at least 3 next year. That's currently what the consensus is. So overall, we are now 5 days above or actually Friday's keys are the S&P above 6147, which this morning we broke above that February 19th level. Also the Qs versus all-time highs, which we did break the all-time highs, and the Russell 2000, which is trending above the 21-day, but still slightly below the 200-day. Overall, we're 5 days above the 80 EMA on the S&P and 45 days above the 21 EMA. Our short-term expectations are positive. Today's action, the S&P opened up 0.16%, rallied up to 61.79 off the open, went as high as 61.88 midday, then dropped to 61.32, and then went all the way up to 61.75 and closed at 61.73. So overall, the average true range on the S&P dropped today from 1.05 yesterday to 0.99, which we like to see. Again, we went over these numbers, GROTECTION and ROBOTECTION. Today, the winning sectors were natural gas, up about 6% on the day, defense, retail, jets, industrials, and consumer discretionary. Again, Amazon was a big help of that. Bond prices were down as yields were up. The GLD, gold was down as we saw, silver was down, uranium was down, GDX, XBI, which are biotechs, and the XLE energy. Again, also came out that OPEC is mulling a 411,000 barrel a day output hike from Saudi Arabia. So that sent energy prices lower today. GROTECTION holdings, no changes today. 1.31 beta, open heat minus 5.84. Turbo bought Coinbase today, added a third to their Bitcoin position and took a new position in AIRO. Bottom line, all-time high gap up and trend day into the afternoon with a reversal negative and a recovery. Monday's keys are the S&P versus today's highs of 61.88. Qs versus their all-time high, and the Russells versus the 200-day moving average. Another thing I wanted to point out here is the S&P is still 20 points below, meaning the 50-day is 20 points below the 200-day. Today, the 50-day moving average increased 16 points, so we should see a golden cross on the S&P 500 early next week, potentially. All right, let's go to the charts again. Starting with the 21/21 list. Biggest winners first. Oops, actually that's the wrong list here. Let me get the right list up. Okay, GE Verona with a new all-time high today. President Trump is basically planning an executive order to support growth in artificial intelligence, according to Reuters. So this sent GE Verona up to new highs today, although it did close a little bit off the highs. Volume was heavy. Again, broke above this 500 level here this week, which was a key level, and had a nice close on the week, up 6.7%. VST in the power generation area also just shy of the all-time highs from January 23rd. Axon broke out of this consolidation here today. Again, strong leader and up on decent volume today, 1.8%. NVIDIA continued higher on Trump's planned executive order into new highs, breaking out of this beautiful cup with handle base here that it's been in for quite some time this week. Cloudflare into new highs, and CoreWeave slight reversal on the day, but still up over 1% on the day. However, did correct 12.8%. Again, this thing's been on a tear from 34 to 186 last week. DoorDash, again, new highs on the week, up 1%. So let's go to some of the losers today on the week. EVA's down 1.44%, but looking very good, trending nicely above its ADMA after a shakeout down to the 21-day last week. Again, this looks very good. And also an IPO looking very promising. Credo down 1.6% today. Again, this had a very nice gap up here on earnings. A little shakeout down below the 21 EMA or the 80 EMA. And again, nice recovery and new all-time highs. Very strong week, up 9.3% on the week. Robinhood, new all-time weekly closing high, down slightly on the day, 1.7%. But again, the highest weekly close ever and coming up on this IPO week high of 85. And this is the liquid leader of the market. Tempus AI down 2.6%. Gold, again, right on the 50-day moving average today. Coinbase, which Turbo took a position in today, and looking good here on a nice strong week, up 14% on the week here. And you can see Coinbase is the highest weekly close ever. Again, going back to its IPO. Again, prices were higher, but this is very bullish. Again, the all-time high back here on its IPO, just like Robinhood, was $429.54. So potentially we'll see that area soon, hopefully. Palantir, again, the loser of the 21 over 21, was down 9% on a Russell rebalance. Again, week pretty much right off the open, choppy through midday, and then pretty big sell with the rebalance into the close. Overall, broke the 21-day moving average on the week. Again, not any major news, but did. Again, you got support of 125 back here, closed at right around 130. So again, right around the support area. Continue to monitor that for GROTECTION. Let's get into the Turbo 12. The biggest gainer today was KTOS, Kratos Defense. Again, defense was a big winner today overall, and this one made new all-time high and a closing high on the week. Oddity up 4.5%. Again, this had a huge earnings gap, followed up by some consolidation. The founder sold basically 25% of the float on an offering, which took it down to the 21-day. And this stock has done a beautiful job holding the 21-day despite this huge increase in supply. And again, decent week and a good close on the week. Hinge, another IPO, which again has been pretty choppy, but broke out this week of this nice IPO base. So again, not making any money, but potentially a IPO breakout this week if you can handle the volatility. QUBT slightly up on the day, 2.3%, and Dave, which has been just a beautiful post earnings gap model move afterwards. Slight shakeout below the 21, new highs today and this week. Guardian Health looking good, and Sezzle, another post earnings gap, followed by just a model move after the earnings. Now let's get into the losers of the week on the Turbo 12. LEU with down 20% on the week. Again, this broke out of its long-term IPO levels from back here, as well as these levels here. Entitled to pull back. Again, found support on the 21 EMA, which is fine. AAOI down on the day, so several of the fiber optic data center networking plays had a bit of a rough day today. A-Lab today was another name that, again, looked very strong yesterday, was up 9.2%. Gave most of that back today on higher volume. Again, I don't know if there was something here, but did basically close right on the 21 EMA. So again, some of these names have been very choppy, had a pretty nice shakeout here down to the 200-day moving average and looked good, but found some sellers up around 100. So very volatile today here, some of these names. Actually, also Coherent, I believe, also had a tough time. Yeah, down 2.9%, not terrible after breaking through this little shelf here. See what else we have on the INOD, down slightly 6%. And MP in the rare earth metal or rare earths, again down on the trade announcement with China of the framework from the Geneva meeting. So again, a lot of this stuff subject to the trade talks here. Also, just a couple other names today. When we talked about Coinbase with a new 50 new closing high, Nebus we went over. That's also a new closing all-time high on the week. PIMS today recovered its 50-day moving average, up 6.7%. Again, some repair needed in this chart. Amer Sports, another new IPO we're watching, made a new 52-week high today on nice volume. Again, built a nice post-earnings gap here. Been consolidating for a few weeks and a nice breakout here. Let's see what else we have. Amazon, again, price target upgrade today by ETSG, I believe, to 255. So that definitely helped the indexes today, as Amazon was the big standout among the Mag 7. Representing the leaders, ARC today was down 1.68%, and the IBD 50 suffered a 1% loss. Again, not devastating by any means, but a lot of the growth leaders had a tough day today. And that wraps up our weekend review. Again, my name is Todd Thomas. You can reach me at todd@revereasset.com or on X at toddmichael70. If you'd like to become a client, our number is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. Our website is revereasset.com. And if you appreciate what we do with our free services and videos, please give us a like and share this video on X. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. I do a weekend review every Saturday where we go in depth of the past week's main happenings, as well as the upcoming earnings and economic numbers and major events expected for the week ahead. And then we go through our watch list and the best looking stocks from looking at several hundred charts over the weekend and going through all the news. So look forward to speaking with you tomorrow and have a great weekend, everyone.